I developed a taste for shooting, and it's just something I've done all the time, and to me it's a great personal satisfaction to pull off a tricky shot, you know, shoot in difficult conditions, you know, shoot in rain, shoot in poor visibility, high winds, steep angles, that sort of thing. I just enjoy doing that, the challenge of it.
If you know that your hunting will actually sometimes demand a long shot, and you want to push the limit where you're still sure to take the first shot kill, which is the demand that the hunt puts on you. If you want to do an ethical hunt, you have to be sure that you actually don't think you're going to be hitting, but you actually hit your first shot. If you want to push that limit, you have to start doing this.
As you probably noticed, the weather is very rough. The sea you see on the outside, it goes on forever. It doesn't meet anything until the North Pole or Greenland. So it's very wild, very rough, and the weather is very, very hard. If you can endure it, it can actually be quite nice. It's not always as good as this.
We got the new Blaser R8 and the 338 Lapua Magnum. You got these in the mail a few days ago, or just yesterday?
Just barely.
Okay. And the new Zeiss V8, which is 4.8 to 35. So we'll test them here.
Yeah. I think we'll start off with anchoring our trajectory. This is 94 meters and 10 degrees down.
Yeah.
And then I'll switch you straight out to 800 and I'll talk you into the target, and from that we'll find a unique trajectory of the rifle. Because when I have the arc, I can calculate backwards.
Yeah.
And then we know exactly what scope setting to use.
Yeah.
And then I'll take it through all the targets.
Yeah. So we'll just first verify that it's actually on target at the
Yes.
at 100 meters or 94, and then we'll just double check the trajectory, because as factory trajectories go, they're usually a little bit off.
Oh yes, the trajectory on the ammunition box is not worth much actually, other than a rough guide.
Okay, into the work.
Yeah.
We've zeroed the rifle at 100, or 94 meters to be precise, and I want the rings to be, I want it to be set at 0 at that distance. So we can click for the distances and always come back to 0 with no trouble. So I'm just resetting the turret here. We're shooting the 338 Lapua Magnum. It's a fairly well-known caliber, but I don't personally use it, so it's got about the same trajectory as the 6.5s that I usually shoot, but it's got more energy, and you can also tell in the recoil. I probably slipped a little bit on the recoil there, probably. So it's going to be harder to shoot tight groups, but it's going to be hitting harder where it hits. But I think we're set. We'll reset the windage turret as well, just to have 0, so we can click for wind and come back to 0 whenever we want. And we are going to click for wind, so if not today, for sure tomorrow. When in Norway, always click for wind.
Little yellow dot, that's a rubber duck. The range is 808, you'll find it in the scope.
In the water there, yeah.
Yes.
In that little small hollow there.
In the
Okay.
bay.
Okay, I'll load up for the duck. It reminds me of a bad old film. Yeah, we got ourselves a convoy. I'm ready.
Ready?
Yeah.
Miss. 26 clicks up, 2 clicks right. That's a hit.
So what we just did here, we tried the rifle at, we zeroed it first, and then we tried it at 808 meters, and we had a theoretical number of clicks that we started with, and that was a little bit off, as it always is, and we shot, observed the misses, clicked our way into the target, and now we have the true drop at that distance. Now we know the exact number of clicks we have to take in this air pressure, this temperature, whatever, and from there we can sort of start working to find our true trajectory. And when we have that, we can get serious about some target shooting.
We don't need to do actual test firing at all the ranges. I have a short range and I have a long range, and as long as I have those, I'm able to find any distance in between, and it's going to be correct. We'll of course verify that by test shooting.
But this is given that we know the ballistic coefficient of the bullet. We could have a worse ballistic coefficient and a faster bullet, and we could get the same drop at 808 meters. But the trajectory would be like this. And now we have a better BC and slower bullet. It'll fly more like that. And they'd both drop as much at 808 meters. But we know the ballistic coefficient of this bullet, so that's why we can tell that it will fly in a very certain way and drop any number of centimeters at any distance. It'll be a given.
If we were working with a totally unknown bullets, I would introduce 1 or 2 more ranges so I could get more checkpoints for the calculations. But this bullet, well documented, only need 2 points.
You can't just take the factory stuff out of the box and just look at the ring. Okay, this is 400 meters. Click, click, click. It's going to be right on, because it's not going to be. So if you are serious about actually hitting things at longer distances, you will need to take into account air pressure and temperature. You'll have to get more into weather than you were before. But once you've done your basic checks, you can have a fair bit of confidence in the stuff, and then you can sort of assume that if anything goes wrong, it's you. It's always you. But if you are a hunter that do most of your hunting within 100 meters, you have an excuse not to do this. If you're looking at anything longer, you don't have an excuse. That's basically it. Now we're supposed to have a true trajectory. We're supposed to have the good idea about how this bullet should really hit. So what we're after trying now is just what can we achieve when we know the true trajectory. So we'll try a few targets here and see. They're 35 centimeter steel targets, so we'll see. They're reasonably small, so.
Go straight right to the small island. There's a white spot there as well.
Yes.
That's another target. And go from the island straight up to the rock where you see the yellow spots.
Yeah.
That will be our last target on the steel.
Okay.
So that will take us from 400 to roughly 900, which will be slightly outside what we have clicks for in this scope.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, we'll try that.
Hit! Center right. Ulf, look left on the island. Small plate. Range 540, scope setting 6.8. Wind 0.
I'm ready.
Wind 1 left, please. Ready. Hit, center. We'll hit that again.
Yeah.
2 clicks right, 1 click up. If we had a tilted scope mount, we would have been shooting to 1100 meters. Ready?
Ready.
That's a hit. Add 10 clicks right for wind. Aim at the top end of the yellow plate, you know, in line with the target.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ready?
Ready.
Hit. Center high.
Yeah.
Aim slightly lower. Ready?
Ready.
Hit. Center right.
Amazingly soft recoil after all, considering the size of these. But the suppressor does a lot. It really makes this shootable. I wouldn't like to shoot this without the suppressor. I wouldn't like to shoot it with a muzzle brake, but really nice now. Really nice.
Okay, so basically now we have a verified trajectory, but instead of looking at this table, we want to put it on the turret. So this is basically this the thing we're doing now is basically the same thing as one of the custom rings, but we don't have the size factory here, so we just have to improvise for these conditions. And after this is done, shooting at range is basically just clicking to whatever range the laser says it is, and then of course dealing with the wind. And if you do get changing conditions, you only use a simulator card and see what sort of changes you need to do for that specific day. So for instance, if we had snow tomorrow, it will be a range -2 day, or range +2 would actually be more accurate, meaning that you will dial range as normal but add 2 clicks and you will be spot on. And that's how you work with this system. For instance, I myself do a lot of hunting in Scotland, and on my turret I have the Scottish trajectory on, even though I have mined the data here locally, and it's just a theoretical correction, and it's absolutely spot on in Scotland. And I have to do some minor adjustments when I'm shooting here, but here it's targets, it doesn't matter. In Scotland it's deer calling, and it really matters that the bullet strikes where it's supposed to. The only error we have now left is the wind, and it changes fairly rapidly here. We don't have a very strong wind, but that would be the biggest error we're left with. Okay, so we're nearing the end. We put together the shooting system, which is the rifle, the scope and the ammunition, and we identified this as an individual. We now know exactly what to do with it to get it to hit where we want it to. So the final test will be that sitting duck behind me, and for show we'll go up to that mountain, the very top, and try and pull up one of the more technically advanced shots that we can. I know the system will do it, but can we? I just wanted to take you up here because this is where I believe this scope will shine. Now, if you look all the way down there, you have our target in the water. It's roughly 800 something meters, and you can't really see it with the naked eye. But using the scope we can actually examine the target in great detail. And hang on. And I can clearly see it's a rubber duck, commonly found in bathrooms. It's lying on the left hand side. The bottom is now pointing towards the right, and the beak is pointing towards us. Small circular head and a tiny red beak. So that actually saved me 1 or 2 hours of walking just by looking at it through the scope. So that will come in handy. Shall we take a shot at it? Okay. There's actually a fair amount of wind down there, coming in from the right but at an angle. I'll try 1.5 effective. Okay, I'm ready. Hit!
Yeah, it's a hit, yeah.
Yeah, that worked. 826 meters. I think the duck is slightly larger than this package, and we nailed it on the first shot. And it's basically about doing the homework and setting up the system correctly, and you're going to have brilliant results.